I was about 20 years old and I was in one of my first serious relationships. I started dating someone where first they started calling me names and belittling me and putting me down, and I was kind of like staying with them because it was one of my first relationships and I was very attached to this person. Then it was almost like a cycle of like being put down and staying with this person and forgiving them, and then it came to physical abuse. Backhanding me, getting jealous, throwing hot water on me, calling me names even more, getting scared if I left the house. And I was so young that I didn't really know any better. So for the longest time, I didn't tell anyone. I would hide bruises with makeup. I wouldn't tell my family anything. I was afraid to tell anyone because I didn't want him to get into trouble. I was more worried about him than myself because I felt like I didn't deserve better. I felt like he was better than me and I deserved what happened to me. It sounds strange, but I didn't think I was worthy because he put me down so much that I thought the things that he said is exactly what I was. Like a loser and all the other horrible names that he called me. And then the way that he treated me physically, it made me even feel less about myself. Physically, he would backhand me, hit me in the head. He hit me in the head mostly because no one was able to see the bruises on my head. And so he would pull my hair, he would throw hot water on me, he would make me do sexual things I didn't want to. The darkest moment of him abusing me was putting a gun to my head and hitting me in the back of the head and making me do sexual things and I didn't want to do, and he would use a gun to do it. I got out of the abusive relationship, so he would lock me up in the bedroom for like days, and I didn't have a job and I wasn't doing well in college, and I decided to leave like where I was. I decided to sneak out of the house and get in contact with one of my friends, and I was telling her about it, but I didn't tell her too much because I was scared that he would get in trouble again. So I went over to her house and she invited some people over. I didn't know who they were, and one of the guys, they got into a fight and he pushed her. And that, like right there, staring at that was kind of like so traumatizing to me that I started to scream because it was like almost seeing myself, even though it was something small. And it was such a big impact on me that I called my parents and I was crying and just telling them everything. After that relationship, I did date someone who also was emotionally abusive and would do the same kind of calling names, but because I already been through that terrible relationship, I feel like I've been through hell with that relationship, it was easier to leave that relationship right after because I knew the signs and I was stronger. Since I've been out, I've been striving and thriving in life. I do everything and anything possible. I actually worked with a nonprofit called Runway to Freedom, and I'm a spokesmodel for them. I help girls that have been through domestic violence themselves. I also did like search and rescue, which helps feed the homeless people in Seattle when I lived there at the time. And I still help with the Runway to Freedom. I also compete in pageants, and I'm signed with a modeling agency now, and I don't look back. I mean, I look back for those who need my help, that want, that I can tell them my story. But yeah, I definitely strive really hard in life and do as much as I can. Some of the signs that I would tell someone to look for, I think it would be Mostly it starts, to me, I feel like it starts with the emotional abuse, in the sense of watching for behavior that isn't normal, you know, being controlling, trying to control like their life and stuff like that. I think that's one. And just hitting someone once is also a huge thing. Like that's something just to notice. Just hitting them just that one time actually affects them. I would probably do as much research as you can in trying to understand abuse, because it is like a hard thing to explain sometimes. Definitely talk to a professional, a therapist. That's one of the big things, is talking to someone who's, you know, professional and that they could tell you that that's wrong. Yeah, I think that's it. Just researching as much as you can. The steps that I would take from recovering from the relationship, well, I went to therapy first. I've had a lot of therapy. Even though it was years ago, it was still effective. So I went to therapy and that was help. And actually one of the biggest things is, like, at the times that I couldn't afford therapy, I would paint. And I would paint like things that just came to my mind. Like, I wouldn't make it perfect. It was just, if I had so much pain inside of me, I would just paint, you know, what made me look, you know, sad or anything. Because I feel like painting really helped me a lot to express how I was feeling. It actually let out a lot. I also did a ton of writing. I actually go back and I actually look back at my journals and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that happened to me still. So writing and painting and dancing, that's a big one. It's like an exercise to the mind, you know. Also working out a ton. So that was another thing. I was addicted to working out, just to relieve anger inside of me. There was a lot of pain built up, and staying single too was another thing. Just being alone and focusing on myself and finishing college. So after my domestic violence relationship, I did everything I could to heal as possible. I did everything possible. I tried to fill my mind with happiness, and because I went through such a dark hell, I'm extremely happy just to be here and be alive. And because of that, I make others happy. The writing, when I look back and I read it, I'm like, wow, I'm such a better person now because I took so much time. Hi, I'm Lenisa, and I'm a domestic violence survivor.